So Dan over at the channel Mr. Smelly 1977 released his own fragrance. Is this fragrance going to be any good? Stay tuned to find out. So before I get started, this is a sponsored video, but as always, all opinions are my own. Yeah, so today's video is going to be another unboxing, first impressions, and update video. This time it comes from the house of Naughton and Wilson. We have Gravitas Pour Homme. So Gravitas Pour Homme from the house of Naughton and Wilson is a men's fougere fragrance released in 2020. The nose behind this fragrance is Jean Steven and is an extra de parfum concentration. Alright, let's check out the presentation. So here's the box for Gravitas Pour Homme. As you can see, we do have a forest green bottle. It does have a pattern that you might not be able to see on the camera here. It does sort of remind me of the wallpaper from the famous scene from Garden State, if you guys remember that movie. But we do have a gold crest here. It does say Gravitas here in gold lettering here at the bottom. It does have NW here on top and NW on the back along with some information. Other than that, not too much going on in this box. Let's check out the bottle. So here's the bottle for Gravitas Pour Homme. Guys, this is a gorgeous bottle. As you can see, there's a heavy, thick, very sturdy glass here. It also comes with this huge gold plate right up front, just really making its presence known on your shelf. It is the same crest that is on the box. It does have the name of the fragrance here. It does have a heavy metal cap, and it does say NW for Naughton and Wilson here on top. It also says Naughton and Wilson here on the cap. Not sure if you guys can see that or not. Was a little disappointed that the atomizer was silver and it didn't match the front plate and the cap here, but it's not a deal breaker. This is a 100 ml bottle and it does sell for $114. Alright, so here are the notes for Gravitas Pour Homme. In the top we have bergamot, mandarin, and lavender. In the mid we have coriander, cardamom, and pepper. And in the base we round things off with patchouli, oak moss, ambergris, and vanilla. Yeah, so Dan over at the YouTube channel Mr. Smelly 1977 reached out to me and asked if I would try his fragrance out. And he even told me I didn't have to do a video or anything, but it's my pleasure to do a video on this fragrance. I've been hearing a lot of good things about it. I've heard it is an old school fragrance, and we'll see shortly. But before I give this fragrance a first impression, I did want to read a statement from the website, if I could, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what this house and what this fragrance is about. So Dan Naughton is the face of Mr. Smelly 1977 on YouTube. It is a review channel, like I mentioned before. Since becoming fascinated by the world of fragrances in his 30s, Dan has amassed a huge fragrance collection, and in 2016 started his own fragrance review channel, which quickly grew to become one of the most viewed and subscribed channels based in the UK. Apart from his humorous intro sequences, Dan is known for his love of classic masculine perfumes from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and for his inclination towards citrus aromatic, chypre, and aromatic fougere fragrances. Seeing the opportunity to create a fragrance catering to his viewers' enjoyment of similar style of masculine scent, he set out in 2019 to create a fragrance brand which could be launched by a Kickstarter campaign and publicly on his YouTube channel. Naughton and Wilson is the brand, and Gravitas Pour Homme is the first fragrance. We hope you will love it as much as we do. So I hope I did a good job reading that for you guys. I'm terrible at reading script. But yeah, so again, this is sounds like it's going to be a very old school fragrance. Dan loves old school fragrances. I have a couple in my collection that I like. I like a couple of like Pour Monsieur from Chanel, and a couple of others that sort of lean old school. And I have heard this one is pretty old school. So again, I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm hoping it's going to be like a modern version of a classic fougere fragrance, but we'll see. And let's give this fragrance a first impression. All right, here we go. Cap here, clean hand, couple sprays. Decent atomizer. Okay. Yeah, definitely getting that classic fougere vibe. Off the top, I'm immediately reminded of, I think it's called Fougere Royale, I think, from Houbigant. I do have that one in my collection. One of my favorites. Sort of being reminded of that. This has a lot of the citrus notes. Definitely getting that lavender. Definitely getting the green notes. It's very spicy, masculine, a little barbershop-y. Yeah, this one immediately reminds me of, I hope I'm pronouncing that fragrance correctly, the one from Houbigant. Fougere Royale or Royale Fougere, because that is one of my favorite fragrances, and this one sort of reminds me of that. Again, it's different enough to be its own creation, but I'm reminded of that. So if you like that fragrance, you're probably going to like this one. Definitely getting the vanilla now. So I'm getting the old school barbershop vibe with the citrus notes and the lavender. And the pepper is very spicy. But I'm also getting that vanilla. There's a lot more vanilla in this than other barbershop type fragrances or old school fougere fragrances that I've tried, which I like. I like my fragrances to be a bit sweet. And this definitely has a lot of sweetness in it, which I like. I was worried it was going to be maybe too one way or the other, and this one definitely has a lot of vanilla, which for me is what I like. Yeah, so the top notes are definitely still there. I'm getting the coriander and the cardamom and the pepper. The cardamom is adding some sexiness to this fragrance. The patchouli is giving it that maturity. The oak moss is giving it the green notes. Not getting so much the ambergris just now, but the vanilla is definitely kicking in there. Giving it a good twist. Sweeter than I thought it was going to be, like I mentioned before, but it's going into a spicy sweet kind of thing right now, which I'm really enjoying. So the atomizer has a good mist, but it didn't distribute a lot of juice. So I feel like I didn't get enough juice in my hand. But from what I'm getting, the amount that I got is definitely kicking. Obviously, I just sprayed it, so I can't really speak for the performance that much, but right now, this is a very approachable fragrance. I do like the quality of this fragrance. I do think if you like fougere fragrances, you're going to like this one. I think this one has enough of that old school feel, but enough sweet vanilla and sweet citrus notes to give it that modern twist that people were talking about. So I can definitely see what they're saying now about this being an old school fougere fragrance with a modern twist. Being that it's an extrait de parfum, I'm assuming it's going to have good performance for this type of fragrance. Honestly, I mentioned Pour Monsieur from Chanel. Get, maybe a couple of hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours for that fragrance, and it's completely gone. Not completely, but, gone enough. The one from Houbigant that I mentioned actually gets pretty good performance. I'm assuming this one's going to be right up there with that one. Yeah, the vanilla is really giving it some gourmand sort of nuances here. I would swear there was some tonka bean in this, but the only gourmand note in this would be the vanilla. So that's definitely what I'm getting. Definitely getting a little... it's not lemony, obviously, because there's bergamot in this, but bergamot in the mandarin. But it smells almost like a lemon pie, right? So I'm getting a little bit of that vanilla with the bergamot and the mandarin, but to my brain, it smells like vanilla cream pie. Which again goes back to the modern feel of this fragrance, because I did get the old school touch in the beginning, and now that it's developing, it's definitely turning into something more modern that I think... if you're turned off by the opening of this because you don't like old school fougere fragrances, I think you'll immediately change your mind, or at least after a couple of minutes when this fragrance starts to dry down. But yeah, this fragrance is going in a good direction right now. There's no complaints here, and definitely pleasantly surprised with this fragrance. I'm looking forward to seeing where this one goes. I'm going to wear this fragrance tonight and over the next few days. Give you guys an update shortly. Talk to you then. Alright, well, I'm back with my update for Gravitas Pour Homme from the house of Naughton and Wilson. Yeah, so it's been the last couple of days with this fragrance, and I gotta say, I do like this fragrance. I did mention that it did kind of remind me of a couple of others that I've tried before, and mainly the Fougere Royale from Houbigant, which is a fantastic fragrance. So I will say this is a fantastic fragrance. Obviously, those are two different fragrances. Where this one really shines is the citrus opening with the peppery notes in there to give it a nice and spicy masculine feel. But the vanilla, to my nose, is the game changer in this fragrance. This is why I think it opens it up to a little bit bigger of an audience, a little better age range. That's why I think that people really say this one has a modern twist, because the vanilla note in this is nice. It's very sweet. It sort of makes it more playful. It kind of takes it away from the boring old school fougere fragrance. Now it opens up with a little bit of that familiarity of that certain genre, but it quickly turns into something special. It gets very sweet. It's citrusy. It's spicy, and it just it progresses with the sweetness as time goes on. It gets even more like, it's almost like the citrus notes sort of come back around and are just a little bit more natural smelling here after the other top notes sort of fade away and the mid notes fade away. But yeah, you really are left with a very citrusy, spicy vanilla fragrance. Longevity for this fragrance was really good. I did get 8 hours consistently every time I wore this fragrance, so that is really good. Projection for this fragrance, well, unlike the longevity, I did not get the best projection with this fragrance. The first hour, hour and a half were the best. Probably got about a foot in decent little scent cloud. But after the first hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, it got a lot closer to the skin and became more personal. Not a skin scent by any means, but it did get very personal. But it is an extrait de parfum, so having that, concentration on your fragrance makes me think it's really going to push out more. Don't get me wrong, I did get wafts throughout the day, and I did smell it throughout the day for all 8 hours. But, with extrait de parfum, I was just hoping it'd be a little bit stronger. Seasons for this fragrance, well, initially I thought this was going to be good year-round because of the citrusy opening, but as soon as the spicy notes and the green notes and that vanilla note kicked in, it really got a lot heavier and thicker and just made me really feel like this would be better and more appropriate in the cooler months. So maybe fall, winter, and early spring. Occasions for this fragrance, well, again, like I said about the seasons, I thought with that citrusy opening, it might lend this to be worn in more casual settings, but honestly, the more I wore it, the more I was like, man, this is suit and tie. This is tuxedo. This is a very gentlemanly fragrance. I can see wearing at night, dressed down. I think James Bond would wear this fragrance. This is a very sophisticated, masculine fragrance. I do really like this fragrance. Again, we'll get to the ages here in a minute, but it's not so masculine that a younger guy couldn't wear this. That vanilla note and the sweetness really helps this fragrance. But, I do think this would be best for evening events. Safe enough for work, but not strong enough for the club. Ages for this fragrance, I'm going to say 25 and up. And normally with a fragrance like this, with that opening, I would probably say 30 or even 35 and up. Because it's a very old school fragrance, and you have to be a little bit older to really appreciate this kind of fougere fragrance, right? But the sweetness in this fragrance to me is key. Again, you guys can probably disagree with that, but this fragrance is a lot sweeter than other similar fragrances on the market, which I think will lower the age range on this fragrance, because I think the younger guys might be able to appreciate this one because of that sweetness. Gives it a little bit more playfulness, rounds it out a little bit better for the younger crowd, which is great, because I do think the 25 and up would be a perfect age range for this fragrance. So overall, I do really like this fragrance. Again, it does slightly remind me of a couple of other ones, but I love Fougere Royale from Houbigant. And this one sort of reminds me of that, and it goes into a different phase when it comes to that sweetness. I think if it didn't have the sweetness, it might just sort of stay in the realm of like old school fougere fragrance, and maybe some audiences might get bored with that. But the fact, to my nose, that it gets sweet really takes this fragrance into a new direction. I can definitely see why they say it's an old school scent with a modern day twist, because I think that sweetness really gives it that modern day touch that really opens the audiences up for this one. The age ranges go a little bit lower. I think a younger crowd can probably pull this one off. I think if they, maybe their dads wore a similar fragrance in the 80s or the 90s, and they're like, man, that sort of reminds me of what my dad used to wear, so I like it. But that sweetness comes in, and they're a little bit younger, and they're like, but that sweetness, hey, it kind of has a little bit of attitude, has a little bit of youthfulness to it, which I think might attract a younger crowd. That's why I mentioned that 25 and up would be good enough for this fragrance, because I think they could easily afford it, and I think they would like that sweetness. Again, yeah, the projection was a little bit underwhelming, but the longevity was there, so that was great. And again, the projection wasn't terrible. I still got wafts throughout the day. For an extrait, though, that was the part that threw me off. For an extrait, I was just hoping it would really just be jumping off my skin, maybe 4 sprays, and I'm good for this, for the day. But it's still not bad. The projection was okay. And guys, this presentation, this is just a gorgeous bottle. Good job, Dan, and the guys over at Naughton and Wilson, for doing such a great job with the presentation and the juice and just everything all around. I think you guys did a fantastic job on this fragrance. It's a perfect first release. It completely matches your personality and your vision for a fragrance that you wanted to have, that you wanted to represent. I think you did a bang-up job with this fragrance. I'm glad you gave me an opportunity to try it. So has anyone there tried Gravitas Pour Homme from the house of Naughton and Wilson? If you have, let me know your thoughts on this fragrance down in the comments below. Alright guys, thank you guys so much for watching the video on my channel. If you like this video, please click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications for future first impressions videos and fragrance-related content just like this. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Dollars and Cents. There, you'll find fragrance-related photos and future contest winners. And as always, until the next video, you guys take care. Thanks.